Hey everybody, what's going on? Bobby here with you in the Geek Culture studios. You just saw the announcement from Fujifilm. We have in our hands with us today the first impressions of the GFX50S Mark II with my good friend Ivan here, who is an Fujifilm ambassador in Singapore. So we're going to run you through the camera specs, what it's like to use, because we actually both use this for the
that's right.
number of undisclosed weeks.
Yes.
We can't say.
Yeah.
We can't say how long we've been having this camera for, can we?
It's a secret.
It's a secret.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the new lens, of course, the 35-70, and various different lenses on the 50S Mark II. So with that, before we kick off this video, a message from our sponsors paying the bills for us, Logitech. This video is brought to you by Logitech. Here at Geek Culture, gaming is a way of life, and we always enjoy dishing out headshots with Logitech G Pro X Super Light Mouse. The lightweight wireless mouse combines excellent performance with classy, no-frills look. Designed with pros and engineered to win, it offers crisp and responsive clicks. The smooth operator even allows you to swap out the magnetic dongle storage compartment for greater gliding ease. Check out all of its other features over at logitechg.com. All right, guys, before we kick things off, I do want to let you know we are not paid or sponsored for this. Even though Ivan's a Fujifilm ambassador, I'm not. I do use the 100S, though, quite a bit for a lot of the work I do. So I'm a fan of the 100S. But yes, these are kind of our thoughts and our thoughts only on it. So let's talk about the 50S Mark II. Ivan, what do you think?
Which one is the Mark II?
Yeah, that's the question. Which one is the Mark II?
Okay, the only difference is, I think, this little Mark II, 50S Mark II logo on it. Other than that, they are basically
exactly the same, right?
Exactly the same. There are no difference in terms of the size, weight, design. I actually weighed on my wife's green colored kitchen scale. They're actually the same.
That's the official scale, by the way.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Because whatever the wife's scale says is correct.
Exactly.
At all times. So that's the thing about this camera. I think that obviously the leaks and the rumors have been out there for quite some time. And, you know, this body design is fantastic. I mean, with the 100S, I mean, the ergonomics are great. The weight distribution, everything else is there. But it still has that same 50 megapixel sensor that we have from the original 50S, right?
Yes.
And the 50R. But it now has
a new body.
IBIS?
More upgraded. Yes, there's IBIS, upgraded features. It basically works the same exactly like the GFX100S. With some missing feature, of course.
Right, because this is still contrast-based autofocusing.
Yes, that's right, and this is a phase.
Yeah, which is something that a lot of people were asking on the rumor mills, is it going to have phase detect? And the answer is no, unfortunately.
Yes, that's right. But they do have a feature called...
Rapid AF?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's supposed to help during dark moments, I think.
Right, yeah, because contrast-based focusing, for those of you who've used it, obviously you've used the original 50S and the 50R, you know, I mean, in bright daylight, it focuses quick, it's responsive.
Right.
Or when you have a definite contrast from your subject or whatever, you can really frame it, but when in a dark situation it's
tough.
tough.
A bit, yeah. So this feature actually helps a little bit more.
So now, Ivan, actually, even though you're an ambassador, you are primarily a GFX shooter, right?
Yes, correct.
So what did you start off with first? I mean, out of the first camera systems?
For GFX?
Yeah.
I started with GFX50S, Mark I, and then from there I moved to the GFX100S.
Okay.
Yeah, I skipped the 100 because I felt it was a bit too big for my liking.
Okay. So now that because you've got a chance to play with this quite a bit, when you had
not as long as you.
Well, that's because you were very kind. But when you played with this a bit, obviously coming from the 50S, what were some of the things that I think a lot of people they want to know? Is there a big difference? Did you notice a difference in terms of the performance?
AF is definitely more better, definitely. To a certain extent, it's better.
Okay.
Low light, of course, it can't beat the GFX100S. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
But in terms of the ergonomics, I like it because it's the same as the GFX100S. I think that is a useful camera. If you compare this to the GFX50S Mark I, I love this more. Of course, it looks more modern.
Yeah.
There's no pop-up back, you know, for the cooling system. Now paired with the new 3570, I think it's a very nice little comfortable package. It's not light, of course, but in the GFX world, this is pretty light, or probably the lightest you could get.
I mean, even a medium format for that matter, because, you know, when you think about medium format cameras, they're always just massive. I mean, when we talked in 2016 when the 50S came out, and of course, I mean, there was the Hasselblad X1D, which was a smaller body, but, you know, medium format's always been a much bigger system. So to bring it into a size like this, which is basically the size of a full frame camera.
Yes.
is quite an astounding feat.
It is. I mean, for someone who uses what do you call full frame, if they're thinking of moving up to a medium format, this is probably a good choice for a start.
Yeah.
Based on the size and even the price point.
Right, because it's coming in at $4,000 US.
It's unheard of.
I mean, yeah, that's mind blowing for medium format. I mean, you know, just a few years ago, we were looking at
5 digits.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Easy. And so the lens coming around $500 US for that, the body about 4,000, so about 4,500 USD for a medium format system. Now, yes, if you want to compare that to full frame, there can be a discussion, which we'll talk about probably later on in this video in regards to that. But for medium format, that is a game changer. I've been playing with this camera for a while too. And I mean, I'd have to say the build quality versus the 50S2, if you haven't tried the 100S, it's so much better.
Yes, definitely.
It's so much better.
Yes.
I do miss, though, the vertical grip on the 50S.
Yeah, if you like the grip.
The grip was really nice. It was a really nice grip. I think Fujifilm knocked it out of the park with that one. There is no vertical grip for this, for the 50S2 or the 100S, so you just get a little
plate
at the extension of it. That's basically. Which I actually want to try that plate. Have you tried that plate?
I have not.
I want to try that plate. We're going to go pick one up and try that out. But besides that, though, I mean, everything feels good. You've got all the same ports on this. You've got your HDMI port. You've got your USB-C port. You know, dual SD card slots on this. There's no difference at all to the 100S.
Nothing, yep.
So I guess it comes down to image quality and price. I mean, really, what is this for? Who's this for? And
Yep, 50 megapixels different and 2000 USD difference.
Yeah.
That's the topic, actually.
Yeah, that's really the topic of this whole video, I think you could say, because this lens in its own right is a basic kit lens. We'll talk about the performance, but that is a question I want to ask you, because, you know, 4,000 versus 6,000 USD, right? 50 100 versus 100. I mean, in 2016, when this sensor first came out, I mean, full frame cameras weren't really at that level yet.
Right.
We're now in 2021. It's still the same sensor, but a lot of cameras like, you know, let's say Sony A7R4, the R5 from Canon, the Alpha 1, you know, Nikon with the Z7 and Z7 II. I mean, how do you think this fits into the game?
I think maybe the strategy has to do with pricing, first of all. Because in 2016, when they launched it, it's probably like, I don't know, it was like 8,999 Sing dollars. Or was it 10?
It was about 10, I think, around 10, right?
10,000 Singapore dollars, right?
Because the Hasselblad was more expensive, around 12, I think.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So now it's actually probably half the price, or probably 60% of the original selling price. And then now you get a new camera. Imagine you're looking for a used GFX50S. Why would you want to buy that? And you can buy this.
That's true.
At probably the same price.
That's true.
Yep. So the question is about the sensor. Do you need more? If you do need more, then is the $2,000 worth an upgrade?
And that's a question, because now you use this camera professionally,
yes.
right? You went from a 50 to 100.
Yes.
How often do you really need 100 megapixels? Honestly speaking.
I'm not a very honest person. I usually shoot 100, of course, obviously, but there are times that I don't need 100, of course. But it's good to have it for work.
Right.
I feel you have the power to crop it.
Yeah.
That's it makes your work more forgiving. If your client wants it a bit tighter, you're able to crop.
Right.
Yeah. But not that 50 megapixel is bad. It's also good if you can crop it. But the question to me is always the $2,000 difference. Would I spend that $2,000?
Yeah. Would you?
Professionally, I would spend the $2,000 more to get the GFX 100.
Because of the cropping power?
Yes.
File size?
Yes, the AF.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the AF is a big thing on me, because I mean, let's talk about performance real quick in that, because that's the one thing I noticed a big difference of when I put them back to back, is that the AF on the GFX 100S is, I mean, you just don't see that on medium format. It's always been contrast based, even with the phase one camera system. It's single point, you know, it's slow.
That's right.
You know, and that's a $70,000 camera system, right? This is phase detect, rivaling some, you know, full frame systems out there.
Like what you mentioned before, for a medium format camera, the autofocus, as much as the 50S is not as fast as the GFX 100, it's actually still considered fast in the medium format world.
It is, yes, it is. I mean, and that's the thing. I think when you put in single autofocus, it's quick. I did notice improvement over when I first tried the 50S and the 50R back in its day. I mean, it does respond well. When you go to continuous autofocus, it hunts.
Yeah.
It's a little bit fluttering back and forth, and that's where you see with that contrasty text system kind of not as, I would say, what's the word I'm trying to put? It was not as...
Certain?
Certain, yes. Not as certain as phase detect. But yeah, you know, that's the thing for me is because when I've tried, you know, I've been shooting with the 100S for a while, and I'm like, do I need 100 megapixels? And I like it, the fact you have it. Oh, man, I have to buy more storage on my computers and all that stuff. I mean, that's
right.
That's something you have to take into consideration because, you know, a day or two of shooting, you load that up. Each image is around 200 megabytes a shot raw.
That's right.
I mean, you can do compress and bring it down, but still, it's a lot of storage.
You need a lot of storage for such things.
Where this is considerably smaller.
So I think maybe this camera is marketed for somebody who wants to upgrade. You could be using an X series and you want to upgrade. You don't need 100.
Right.
But you want to upgrade to a medium format.
Yeah.
You don't need to shoot sports. If you're not a sports photographer, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah, if you shoot portraits, landscape, some lifestyle picture with portraits, fashion, I think it's perfectly fine.
Right.
But not for sports, obviously.
No, not for sports. Even the 100S for sports is really not...
It's not meant for it.
No, I mean, you can capture some shots here and there with the right lighting if you want to do some quick strobe shots or whatever, but it's not designed to like compete with the full frame market. It's just not there.
It's only perfect for sports portraits.
There we go. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's kind of the 50S2 in a nutshell. I mean, it's not like a revolutionary camera. I mean, price point it is, but in terms of design and features, I mean, a couple of things I did notice missing in the camera system is that there's no performance boost for EVF that you would see in the GFX100S. Because one of the nice things that Fujifilm Systems does have, which I appreciate, is that you get this option to sort of enhance certain aspects of the camera if it's focusing in low light or focusing or EVF boost to sort of get the higher frame rate depending on the situation you're in.
Yeah.
You know, the 50S2 you're missing some of those features. And I mean, I guess also it's due to technology as well, right?
Probably. I'm not very sure about that, but I guess it's just to differentiate the difference between the two systems.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like when it came out this kit lens, which is like $499.
Yeah.
So many been asking, is it as good as the 3264? They are different. First of all, price points is a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that it's a bad lens, it says that this is a great lens.
Right.
But the size, again, look at the size difference, it's actually a lot of difference.
I mean, when you extend this out, it's still longer, and I mean, it's considerably heavier on this. And then aperture is obviously different as well. That's an f4 straight across.
Yeah.
This is 4.5 to 5.6. So, you know, you are getting a big difference in that regard in that. I mean, this is a great kit lens. And in terms of build quality, in case you're wondering, yes, because of the price point, does it feel as good as the 3264?
Yes.
Probably not, but it doesn't feel that cheap. I mean,
it doesn't.
It's not
it's
like
light.
It's
a
light,
lot lighter.
but it doesn't feel like a cheap kit lens. So if that's what you're worried about, don't be. I've had some friends that were asking me about this based on the rumors. They're like, have you seen it? I'm like, I can't say anything. I have to sign my life away, you know, but, you know, they were always worried about that build quality aspect of it, but it looks...
But I like it when you close it up. It's actually quite short.
It is, right?
Yep.
And it's nice to pack up, put into a bag, carry around.
It's a good walk-around lens for me. I like it in that sense. But in terms of sharpness between the two, I compare it. Of course, this is a sharper lens. Not that that's bad, but this is really sharp.
All right, so I mean, obviously, if you have the best of the best, and then, you know, this, you're going to notice the difference.
Yeah, it's a kit lens.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's a good entry camera if somebody wants to come in and try medium format. If you buy the GFX50S Mark II, I would definitely get this lens. It's a must-have.
I mean, $500, you might as well, right? At least you have something.
True,
you know,
true,
I mean,
for a start.
But then, of course, we want to talk a little bit lenses for a moment.
Right.
What we got here, the 110 and the 120.
Yeah, there's the 110 and 120.
Macro, yeah.
Yeah, these are two very sharp lenses, great bokeh.
And 100 to 200, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the magical lens.
Yes.
This is the one lens, I think, if you get into a GFX system, this is the one lens to get.
You see, like this is 110 and this 120. I own both of this lens.
I know.
Like why, you know? Like this is, for me, this is great for outdoor portraits.
Yes.
Because there is a minimum focusing distance. Perfect. But if you want to do a beauty shot in the studio, then this is tech sharp.
You like it? You like the macro for beauty shots, huh?
Yeah. In the studio, because I can go closer, like maybe half body shot, head shot.
I got you.
Whereas the 110 couldn't do that.
No, but you get the beautiful fall off, the beautiful bokeh on that.
Yes,
I mean, it just is stunning for skin tones.
It's magical.
It is magical. It is a magical lens.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I guess what we can do now, because we can do some comparison shots. So if you guys want to see this, we'll put this up here with the 100 and the 50S2, and we'll put them next to each other. I mean, for those of you who've never shot with these cameras before, then we can just kind of show you a little bit. We'll zoom in on those images. Zachy, we can do some of that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Zachy's pretty good with this
Split
stuff.
screen mode.
Look at that. Professional editor there. Split screen mode. We'll do that. We'll kind of compare some shots, and we can shoot some stuff right here around the studio as well, because we've got some really cool things here at the Geek Culture studio. First time here, right?
Exactly. I'm amazed. It's like a little museum. Yeah. I brought a big bag out here today. Maybe I'll pick some home later.
There we go. I don't know if we would miss anything. There's a little bit of redundancy happening here. All right, guys. So what we'll do is we'll take some pictures and we'll come back and just wrap things up here. All right, so we just showed you guys some photos taken here in the studio, as well as some of Ivan's photos with the 50S Mark II, and some with the 3570, of course, versus the 3264 and macro shots. Ivan, what's your thoughts on this kit lens?
I think the quality will definitely not match the 3264.
No, you're not going to see the full potential of the sensor.
That's right.
With this lens. Obviously, we shot wide open. It's quite soft. Close up, I mean, obviously does sharpen up as you stop down.
Yes.
But at 5.6, at 70 millimeters, it was
soft.
It was soft, yeah.
Yeah.
And there is some purple fringing happening there as well. So something to take note of. But now let's talk about 100 versus 50. Is there a difference? We showed some images just now.
Yep.
But your thoughts?
100 megapixels is definitely a lot more megapixel. We can punch in all the way to the maximum 100% for 50, and 100 can punch in another level in. So it's actually more forgiving. If you're doing serious work, it will help you a long way. So if you ask me...
but would you spend $2,000 more? That's the question. Would you spend it?
I would spend $2,000 more to get 100 for me. I would, for work, right? And would I get a backup camera for 50? I might though. I think it's quite fun having a 50 and 100 together as a set. Instead of getting 100, because there are times that I don't need 100.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, the 100's come in handy for me as a couple times when I was doing some photo shoots. I was doing one for a friend of mine for a watch, kind of a social media campaign. And I wasn't able to get too close to him because we were on a boat. So I had to get quite a bit of distance. I was using the 45-100. And because he needed a shot of the watch close up from the
Only
client,
the watch?
Only the watch. Well,
Wow.
him, and then the second shot was the watch close up. On a 50 megapixel, I would not be able to crop in that much in. As much as you can crop it on 50, I wouldn't be able to do it. But with the 100, I was able to, and it was still good enough for social media. So that's what I was like, okay, I get the power of the 100 megapixel. It's not going to be something you're going to use every day.
Yep.
Because most of the time on social media, I'm downsizing my images to like 2,500 pixels on the long side, just to post it up so I don't get any compression. And you're not going to utilize all that, but you do get that sharpness, you do get that detail.
Yes.
And of course 16-bit color.
Yes, it makes a difference.
Which does make a big difference, especially when you're editing skin tones or doing makeup or you're doing professional shoots. Now I'm going to throw something to you, and this is the question. So now I'm going to play devil's advocate with you, Ivan, here. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, 2016 sensor, it's now 2021. Is this camera at the price point of $4,000 US still relevant with cameras like R5, Alpha 1, A7R4, Z7 II. I mean, which they all have phase detect autofocus.
Yes.
You know, they're smaller. What do you think?
Actually, there's no comparison between a medium format and a full frame, I feel, because it's just like if you say a Micro Four Third is as good as a APS-C or APS-C is as good as a full frame, or full frame is as good as a medium format, right? Or a GFX100S is better than a phase one. They're all completely different. They're different kind of animals. But if you look at a 50S by itself, I think that you have to consider the sensor and the glass that comes through it. It's a packaged.
Right.
Right? It's not just the body alone. Because you can use a full frame 50 megapixel, 45, 60, the glass, and combine it together. The result yield is still be a difference because the glass is still a notch higher compared to the full frame.
True.
Yeah. The question is, at this price point, like I mentioned, it's 5 years old in terms of sensor, but it's still relevant in this time and age because the glass is a whole combi.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you don't do sports, I think it's still a great camera. Commercial work is still fine.
Okay.
You don't need that larger size.
Right.
But for me, if you can afford that $2,000 more, I will go for this. Yeah. But of course, if I have a second camera, I will go for this too to add on to it as a package.
Wow, that's a big chunk out of the bank account. That's a big chunk. No, but I mean, fair points. I mean, and I think that's really where it comes down to is the glass is the big deciding factor. And I think that's something where a lot of full frame companies, they haven't made glass to really resolve 100 megapixels yet.
Yeah.
50, 60, so forth. But you buy a lens like this, you know, this is going to last you for quite some time. Even if this sensor, let's say in a year or two, they move away from the 50 or they get a new 50, you're still going to be able to resolve more out of this lens.
Definitely.
Than I would say, full frame this time. So there you have it. Ivan, thank you so much for coming by.
My pleasure.
Sharing with us, of course, the 50S Mark II and this 3570 and all the other beautiful toys. This is a very expensive table we have here right now. This is an expensive table, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of,
Yeah, probably 30,000, I think, Singapore dollars.
Let's not drop anything.
Hopefully.
Let's not do that. All right. With that, guys, thanks for watching this. If you like the video, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Facebook, and also follow Ivan. What's your Instagram handle?
At Fuji Fanboys.
Yes, he is the man behind Fuji Fanboys. And also your blog as well, which you do a lot of reviews.
Yes, I do.
What's the name of it?
Ivan Joshua Low.
All right. With that, guys, take care, stay safe, and I'll chat to you in the next one. Bye.